I saw it on there. Happy New Year. Welcome to the Town of Queens Town Board meeting. If you'll join me for the pledge, we can convene this meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you stay standing for a minute, Linda's going to do a New Year's blessing for us.
Oh, Lord, thank you that we can come to you at any time. And at the beginning of this new year, we ask you for your blessings. We ask you to keep us grateful and joyful and aware, Father, of the needs of the people of Queens and how to meet those needs. And we ask you to bless each person that's here and those that are with us in our community, Father. And we ask you to open the doors that need to be open and shut the ones that need to be shut. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
The record reflect that all the members of the board are present. And you can just start right off.
Okay, great. I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board is desirous of establishing meeting rules for the respectful and proper conduct of the town board meetings, a copy of which is hereby attached. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby adopt the proposed town of Queens meeting rules dated January 1st, 2025, which shall take effect immediately.
I'll second. Any discussion?
So just for discussion, I do realize why we put that comments should relate to the current agenda being discussed during the public comment period. I do have some sort of an issue with that. I do know that there are people in the public that aren't allowed or they don't have the ability to come to every meeting. And I hate the idea of limiting agenda items only to public comment. So I would like to see number 4 removed, but if that, it's not a hill I'm willing to die on, but
we're pretty fast and loose with that. People generally just speak their minds.
I was going to say, you could also just add that word general, right? You could say comments should generally relate to the current agenda, but there are circumstances where if somebody couldn't come to a prior meeting or that type of thing, you might need to.
Okay. Yeah, we can amend that.
I like that.
Thank you.
Just add the word generally before relate.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. I think this board's been pretty open to
Absolutely.
all discussion that's come in front of this board throughout the whole year. So, I mean, I'm okay with that. I already second. Oh, yeah, have a vote.
So it sounds like as amended.
Yeah, as amended.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I, Councilmember Hoteling, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board is desirous of scheduling meetings of the town board for the calendar year 2025. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby set the following dates for town board meetings for 2025. Please note that the meetings will commence at 6 p.m. January 9th and 23rd, February 13th and 27th, March 13th and 27th, April 10th and 24th, May 8th and 22nd, June 12th and 26th, July 10th and 24th, August 14th and 28th, September 11th and 25th, October 9th and the 23rd, November 13th and the 24th, December 11th and the 26th.
I'll second that. Any
So,
discussion?
yeah, for discussion, I know that we've had some goings back and forth in discussion prior to this about possibly adding a workshop meeting on a monthly basis. This, we got a lot of things going on this year. We just purchased a new building. That's gonna have a lot of moving parts with respect to, what needs to be done, how we're gonna pay for it, and staying on top of that. We got, investments, we got, a sewer plant, we got some grants. And I think establishing a workshop on a regular basis and setting those dates this, as early as we can, and possibly at the next, regular board meeting. That way, this board is, up to date on everything going on a monthly basis. Because sometimes stuff gets lost in the sauce with emails, and we don't always have the ability to communicate with each other daily. And I think a monthly workshop will be beneficial to this board. And I know we got to talk to some players about, what's better for their availability, and that. So, but I think that's something that we should definitely entertain at our next meeting.
Absolutely.
Also for discussion, just based upon what we faced this month, or, this last meeting, I was looking at the calendar. December 26th of 2025 is a Friday night. I would suggest possibly thinking about maybe moving that meeting to Monday, December 22nd. How does everybody feel about that?
Yeah, we had discussion about that.
For that reason and the holidays, that's a good option.
That's consistent with how you treat Thanksgiving, right?
Correct.
You bump it up.
Yeah.
We move it.
So,
Just make sure, check the PVEZ.
Yeah, they don't have a meeting on the 22nd.
Yeah, good.
so amend the 26th of December to the 22nd of December?
Yeah.
Okay. And November, nothing conflicts with Thanksgiving. We're doing a meeting on the 24th, which is Monday.
That's Monday, yeah.
Yep, all right.
Good.
So as amended, the 22nd, so we'll submit the motion with the December 11th and December 22nd change.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I Supervisor Donnelly offer the following resolutions and move its adoption. Whereas the town board of the town of Queens is desirous of designating holidays to be observed by the employees of the town of Queens, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby designate the following holidays for 2025 for employees not covered by union contracts. Holiday schedules for covered employees are pursuant to active agreements in force. Holidays are January 1st, New Year's Day, January 20th, Martin Luther King's Day, February 17th, President's Day, May 26th, Memorial Day, June 19th, Juneteenth, July 4th, Independence Day, September 1st, Labor Day, October 13th, Columbus Day, November 4th, Election Day, November 11th, Veterans Day observed, November 27th, Thanksgiving, November 28th, day after Thanksgiving, December 25th, Christmas Day. And we're good.
Yes, Tom. Yes. So. Yes, yes, I'll second that. I'm just checking the one date. Yes, I'll second that. Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I, Councilmember Bruno, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board is desirous of scheduling meetings of the town planning board, zoning board of appeals for calendar year 2025. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby set the following dates for the planning board, zoning board of appeals for 2025. Please note that the meetings will commence at 7 p.m. January 13th and 22nd, February 10th and 26th, March 10th and 26th, April 14th and 23rd, May 12th and 28th, June 9th and 25th, July 14th and 23rd, August 11th and 27th, September 8th and 24th, October 14th and 22nd, November 10th and 25th, December 8th and 17th.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. I, Councilmember Schmidt, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Queens has established a town procurement policy for the efficient, lawful, and proper procurement of goods and services consistent with the general municipal law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby adopt the Town of Queens procurement policy dated, and this says January 1st, 2025, but I think we agreed that we would do January 1st, 2024.
Yes, I mean, so it was originally drafted, it looks like in '23, and then you readopted it last year at the organization.
Correct.
Right. So that should be January 1st, 2024, to be followed by all town departments for the procurement of goods and services.
I'll second that.
And just for discussion purposes, we have talked about revamping the procurement policy. We do have a draft of the procurement policy that was provided to us yesterday afternoon. And the board, I believe, is going to review the draft, and we will talk about it and possibly act on it in our first meeting in January.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution and move adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Queens is desirous of naming a depository of funds, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens, pursuant of Town Law, Section 64, 1, 20, and 35, that the National Bank of Coxsackie, the Bank of Greene County, or any other bank or depository authorized by the State of New York be designated as the depository of all funds of the Town of Queens. In addition, the Town Board directs that all town officials responsible for monies are hereby required to deposit said monies into said depository.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I, Councilmember Hoteling, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Queens has established a town investment policy for the efficient, lawful, and proper investment of funds consistent with general municipal law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby adopt the Town of Queens investment policy dated January 1st, should this also be 2024?
Yes.
January 1st, 2024, to be followed for the investment of town funds.
Second that.
And
Discussion.
same discussion as for the procurement policy. One was submitted, and this board will take a look at that, and we're hoping to have them looked at, reviewed, and acted on at our first meeting this other night.
All in favor as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries. Supervisor Donnelly offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Queens is desirous of authorizing the prepayment of certain expenses as they become due. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby authorize the payment in advance of audit claims for public utility services, telephone, postage, freight, and express charges, lease and maintenance agreements, and any other prepayments that would result in penalties against the Town of Queens. In addition, all payroll and employee benefits payable and due at specific times.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
So just for discussion, that we've had some issues with the prepayments. Some of the amounts have been off. I don't know what the fix is. I realize that things have to be paid in advance. I'm trying to figure out, and maybe the board can think about this going forward, what we can do to possibly take a look at the prepayments before they go out, or at least have one board member or something look at, just another set of eyes. I hate when I come in and I see a prepayment and the numbers are off, and then we have to figure out what we're gonna do. Like, are we gonna fix the numbers? Are we gonna leave it as is? So I don't know what the board thinks, but that's just my discussion.
I spoke to Regina about this, and she said there was a possible solution if a board member or two wanted to come into her office and review prepayments at whatever time. I'm not sure, but she said that was a possibility in
Okay.
moving forward.
I would be more than willing to entertain that, so
Okay.
just know that.
Yeah, and if they're ready, if there's a window opportunity for her to say, somebody to come down and go over with her, then sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I, Councilmember Bruno, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Queens is desirous of designating the official newspaper of the Town of Queens for legal and public notice requirements. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens, pursuant to Section 64, Subdivision 11 of the Town Law, designates the Times Union, a newspaper regularly published in the Town of Queens, County of Albany, the official newspaper of the Town of Queens.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. I, Councilmember Schmidt, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Queens is desirous of establishing a mileage reimbursement rate for town employees that may occasionally use their personal vehicles for town business. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens, pursuant to Section 102, Subdivision 1 of the Town Law, establishes the rate of 70 cents per mile for the authorized use of personal vehicles by town employees in the performance of their duties based on the Internal Revenue Service rate for 2025.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
So just for discussion purposes, I just want to make sure that the department heads and everybody else reiterates to all of the employees that when submitting mileage reimbursement, you are required to put your starting mileage and your ending mileage date. And that's really imperative. So if that reminder can go out to everybody, that would be great.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, the mileage policy, I think we're working, we should work on that together, so that's an
Yeah,
action
that's what I
policy.
was
It's a
thinking about
workshop
as well
thing,
too, is that we should, I know we had discussed that and kind of.
and then we could just give it to department heads.
Yep.
I agree.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board does hereby have an agreement with Mid-Hudson Cablevision to provide public access programming directly from the town building located at 18 Russell Ave, Ravena, New York. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board does hereby appoint William Horton as the administrator of access for the purpose of coordinating programming and overseeing individuals involved in the telecasting of approved programs at a rate of $75 per televised meeting.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
So just for discussion, right now we use Vimeo as our platform for recording and providing live feed. I don't know that I've been totally impressed and happy with Vimeo as a whole, and I wanted to figure out if there was a way that we could possibly go another route. Vimeo is a paid subscription that we do pay. I know the Village of Ravena uses YouTube. I think the school district uses YouTube. So
I discussed it with the web designers that we probably want to go that way. YouTube, I'm glad to hear that you guys are just moving forward, because I'm also not a fan of the Vimeo, and the payments of it.
So we should talk about that and make that happen, ASAP.
Yeah.
I also know that there were issues with I don't know if it was a microphone issue or something, or maybe it was a Vimeo issue, but we have to kind of keep track too. I know when I've gone back and watched the videos and I've heard people say during the live feed that the sound cuts in and out. I realize that with technology, we're going to have those types of issues from time to time, but it just seems like it happens quite frequently. So
Yeah, I looked into that, and as far as I could tell, we have a directional mic that moves.
There's
Based on-
six or nine in that square there that will move towards the voice. I know that Mr. Fazio had a gentleman from TVI come in after hours and they reconfigured things. So at the last meeting we had, I believe Bill said you could hear everything.
Okay.
perfect.
So it may very well be fixed. And I think they might have wanted to take the podium mic out. I'll have to check with Steven again, because they said that sometimes will interfere if someone's there and makes a noise. It moves one of these. But they did fine tune them.
Good to know.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Me, right? I, Councilmember Holt, telling offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town of Queens sole assessor Dawn DeRosa's term is set to expire on September 30th, 2025, and whereas the town board has determined Mrs. DeRosa's services to be of value to the town, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby reappoint Dawn M. DeRose to fulfill the term of town of Queens assessor to expire September 30th, 2031. The appointment shall take effect on January 1st, 2025. The annual salary shall be $32,695.52.
I second that. Any discussion? All
October
in
1st.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's fair. I mean, so we're making the appointment today, January 1, but I suppose the effective date really is October 1.
Yeah.
Since you pointed out.
Yeah.
So I would just suggest we adopt the resolution with that modification.
So amending the resolution to change January 1, 2025 to October 1, 2025?
24.
20, yeah.
No, 2025.
2025. Yeah,
Oh,
because
I'm sorry, yes.
even though her term doesn't expire until September, you're making the appointment now just to.
All right,
be
so I
sure
submit the
it's-
resolution as amended then.
All in favor as amended?
Aye.
Okay.
I, Supervisor Donnelly, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board is desirous of reinstating the civil defense director for the town of Queens, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby appoint Dominic Bruno as the civil defense director for the town of Queens for a term to expire on December 31st, 2025. Compensation for this position is $1,500 per year.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I, Councilmember Bruno, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas Town Clerk Candace McHugh, pursuant to Chapter 280 of the laws of 2007, which became effective on July 18, 2007, is desirous of appointing an individual to the first deputy town clerk position, and now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens hereby acknowledges the town clerk's appointment of Cheryl Slingerland as first deputy town clerk. This appointment is for a term to expire on December 31st, 2025.
So before we go ahead and second this resolution, I just want to bring to the board's attention again that Cheryl is my aunt. I realize that Candace is allowed to choose whoever she wants as her deputy. So it really doesn't have any bearing on the board for resolution purposes, but just so everybody is aware, Cheryl is my aunt.
Accuse yourself.
So if somebody else would like to second this, that would probably be beneficial.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
Right.
I, Councilmember Schmidt, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board of the town of Queens is desirous of appointing a town historian for the town of Queens, and whereas Joseph Bolke, a town resident and also president of the Ravena Queens Historical Society, has expressed interest in serving as the town of Queens town historian. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby appoint Joseph Bolke, town historian for the town of Queens, for a term to expire on December 31st, 2025. Compensation for this position is $750 per year.
I'll second that.
And just for correction purposes, can we change the members of the board on the top corner? If I'm not sure if that is, for any.
Yeah. Okay.
Holy moly. Okay.
Okay.
We're all-
Still on there.
Linda's still on there.
You too. You're in there too.
Listen, you go blind after a while.
Yeah.
Other than that, we're good.
I think they're all otherwise.
All in favor as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town wishes to retain the services of an attorney to render legal advice to the town board through December 31st, 2025. Now therefore be resolved that Gleason, Dunn, Walsh, and O'Shea is hereby to be retained as attorneys for the town of Queens pursuant to a letter of engagement for professional legal services dated January 1st, 2025, which provides for an annual retainer fee of $32,960, and that the town supervisor is hereby authorized to execute said agreement.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
So just for discussion purposes, I think going forward, we should just, when there's a matter that Mr. Riley has to work on or his office has to work on that's outside of this legal services agreement, that we have some sort of letter of engagement and maybe a budget of what the anticipated costs are going to be. I mean, I do know that there are times when things have to be done ASAP, and I understand that. But for some of the bigger projects, I'd just like to know in advance, like what we're looking at in terms of expense purposes.
We could certainly do that, and we generally just had a single invoice that would reflect the non-retainer work. But for things like the collective bargaining agreement, we actually opened up a separate file. I mean, we could take it to that level as well. Sometimes it's sort of a gray area in terms of
I'll let you know.
responding to phone calls in between meetings and whatnot, but we could certainly work on that.
Yeah, and I understand all that. I'm not trying to knock you or anything, but I just know that the public has been voicing their opinions about, the expense for, attorney's fees and everything. And I would just like to have a more black and white, this is what he provided, this is what he said the budget would probably be, and this is what he spent. So.
All in favor?
Aye.
I, Councilmember Holt Telling, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the term of Patrick Cronin, member of the Town of Queens Planning Board of Appeals, has expired on December 31st, 2024, and whereas the Town Board has determined that his service on this board to be of value to the town, and whereas Mr. Cronin has expressed an interest in retaining a seat as a member of the Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby reappoint Patrick Cronin to a 7-year term as a member of the Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals to expire December 31st, 2031.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, Mr. Cronin.
7 more years.
7 more years.
And Mr. Cronin, don't forget you have to sign your oath of office.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I didn't. Hey, Patrick, I never met you before. It's nice to meet you. Did you? Yeah, I was gonna bring up the training, the explicit training letter that I signed.
Yeah.
Just to bring the board up to speed on it.
Thank you, Patrick, for serving.
Excuse me. I, Supervisor Donnelly, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Queens is desirous of retaining attorney William Kennery, Esquire's services as legal counsel to the Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby appoint William Kennery, Esquire, to serve as legal counsel to the Planning Zoning Board of Appeals for a yearly fee of $25 contingent upon meeting attendance payable by monthly voucher submissions expiring December 31st, 2025. And be it further resolved that Mr. Kennery be compensated at the rate of $300 per hour in addition to the monthly retainer for any special projects which require extensive legal research, communications, or written opinions.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Councilmember Bruno, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Queens is desirous of appointing the chairperson of the Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, and whereas Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals member Patricia Grogan has expressed interest in being reappointed as chairperson of the Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby reappoint Patricia Grogan as chairperson of the Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals for a 1-year term to expire December 31st, 2025.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Ms. McHugh pointed out that we have to update
Again.
on this one as well.
Now we have to what? I'm sorry?
The board
The
people are
members are.
incorrect.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, gee.
All in favor as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
That should be it. Yeah, that's it.
I tried to
That's
get
good.
through, but I didn't.
No, that's okay.
It's just a little trick. Make sure you're watching. See?
I, Councilmember Schmidt, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Queens adopted local law entitled Board of Assessment Review pursuant to the authority granted under the Real Property Tax Law, Section 523, and Sections 10 and 20 of the Municipal Home Rule Law. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby affirm the following appointments to the Board of Assessment Review. Neil Poirier, term to expire September 30th, 2029. David Coons, term to expire September 30th, 2026. Roxanne Stanton, term to expire September 30th, 2028.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board is desirous of appointing a dog control officer for the town of Queens. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby appoint Megan O'Brien Lauren as dog control officer for the town of Queens at an annual salary of $5,000 effective January 1st, 2025. This appointment is for a term to expire on December 31st, 2025.
One second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I, Councilmember Hoteling, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Town of Queens Emergency Management Committee has an emergency management plan to be implemented at the time of specific incidents of events which may result in severe or extensive damage, loss of property, casualties, death, and/or disruption of the normal everyday routine of our specific geographic area. And whereas the success of this plan depends on the cooperation and coordination of a number of individuals and organizations. Now therefore be it resolved that the following will be participating and contributing agencies: Queens Fire Company, Queens Hollow Fire Corporation, Town of Queens Police Department, Ravena Hose Company, Ravena Rescue Squad, Queens Highway Department, and Ravena Department of Public Works. And be it further resolved that the committee shall consist of the following for a period ending December 31st, 2025. Dominic Bruno, Chairman, Town of Queens. Mark Tryon, Chief Emergency Operations Director. Mark Deo, Queens Fire Company, number 1. Steve Payne, Queens Hollow Volunteer Fire Corporation. Kevin Phillips, Ravena Hose Company. Travis Whitbeck, Ravena Rescue Squad. Daniel Baker, Highway Superintendent. Stephen Donnelly, Ad Hoc Member. Lee Van Etten, Village of Ravena Department of Public Works.
Second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Will Supervisor Donnelly offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board wishes to continue the work of the ethics committee, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens hereby appoints Bridget Engelhart and Leonard Pilhofer to the ethics committee with a term to expire December 31st, 2025.
Second that. I have a question too.
Yeah,
When are
sure.
we gonna appoint another member to that committee?
Yeah, I was about to say for discussion, Riley Smith is amiable to being on the ethics committee. I think we had a discussion about perhaps because
She's
she
not
wasn't
a resident of the town.
Yeah. So I don't know if the rest of the board wants to appoint somebody who's not a resident of the town, but it sort of seems to me that, you know, if you knew a defendant in a court case, you'd be excused. I think that it's not, detrimental if somebody doesn't live in the town as an ethics.
Require a law change.
Is it? But the
In
local
the
law?
ethics law.
I have, I thought we looked at this at
Don't you
one
do-
In September.
and
Yeah.
there was a reference in there that suggested they'd be that they needed to be a member
Yeah.
of the town.
Yeah.
I don't recall whether or not that language actually sort of mirrored the state statute or not, but I can certainly confirm that.
Are we confusing that with the workplace violence needed to be an employee of the town?
No, I think part of our discussion also included as to whether or not we could actually appoint somebody that wasn't necessarily a town employee, but is possibly serving on a board, an appointed position on a board in the town, like say a member of the zoning board or something like that, or one of the other boards. Could they actually be put on the ethics board as well? And we wanted some research done on that too, I believe, when we had that discussion about the out-of-town thing.
Yeah, no, I do recall some of these issues come up. I recall that I did research, and I have notes on it, but as I sit here today, I just don't recall the answers. So I can certainly look into that and let you know.
Okay.
So if there's a resident out there that wants to be on the ethics board, contact the supervisor's office.
They have to be an employee.
Yeah,
Actually, this position
An
is
employee, yeah.
The position that's vacant is for a town employee.
One person has to be an employee of the town and also reside in the town.
Right.
The other two just have to be people who
Right.
reside.
So we have our other two, we need somebody who's employee possibly.
We need
We need an
a
employee.
payroll person that lives here.
Or if there's the research done on that, remember, we looked at that too.
Or you have to change the law.
Or we have to change the law.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Correct.
Put that on our list.
So we can appoint these two, and then
Oh,
we just have
definitely.
to fill the vacancy.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, but unfortunately, as of right now, we don't have an effective and active board. You know, we are reappointing 2 members, which is great, but
Yeah,
our board is not fully functioning.
right.
Right.
Okay, all in favor for Bridget and Leonard?
Aye.
I, Councilmember, will offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board of the town of Queens is desirous of appointing a town prosecutor to prosecute matters on behalf of the town in the Queens Justice Court. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby appoint Kenneth McGuire Esquire to serve as prosecutor for town-related matters for the 2025 calendar year at an annual rate of $14,000 payable by monthly voucher submissions as follows. $5,500 per year traffic tickets issued by the town of Queens police officers to the town of Queens court. $5,500 per year traffic tickets issued by the New York State Police and the Albany County Sheriff's Office for the town of Queens court. $3,000 per year town code, also penal code trial matters.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. While I'm up for this resolution, I'm not in favor, so I'm not going to present it. I will allow somebody else to.
I, Councilmember Stott, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board of the town of Queens is desirous of appointing a budget officer whose duties and responsibilities shall be consistent with town law. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby appoint Stephen Donnelly as town budget officer at an annual rate of $15,000. This appointment is for a term to expire on December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion?
So for discussion purposes, the reason that I'm not in favor of Mr. Donnelly being the town budget officer really comes down to, you know, the times and the resolutions that we've had on the agenda where Mr. Donnelly hasn't been able to provide answers in real time for the transfer of money and other things. There's been resolutions that have been tabled because no explanation has been provided. I do realize that Mr. Donnelly is new to town government and the position of supervisor and town budget officer, but I just don't think that he's qualified and or fit to be the budget officer.
So for purposes of discussion, that the CFO has a strategic leadership, economic leadership, and is not a accountant or business office manager. So we work as a team inside my office to do that. And when I don't have files in front of me, it is impossible to remember every single thing. As you can see, Rich doesn't have files in front of him, he can't remember. It doesn't mean he's not qualified to be a town attorney. I think I'm extremely qualified due to the fact that we have managed a budget that we can invest money in NICLAS, and to this date has generated $80,000 that's 3 times the amount as if we have raised taxes to the tax cap of 2%. So I think that my work speaks for itself. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Nay.
Ron, are you in favor?
Yes.
I, Councilmember Stott, offer the following resolution with its adoption. Whereas the town board of the town of Queens has given additional duties to the highway superintendent, Daniel Baker, above and beyond his duties as town highway superintendent, which includes but is not limited to overseeing the Parks Department, Town Hall, and facilities maintenance, and cemeteries maintenance. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby approve an annual stipend of $15,000 to compensate for the additional duties that have been assigned to the highway superintendent effective immediately.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Actually, I'd just like to say that, by law, cemeteries only have to be mowed once a year. So Danny does an amazing job at keeping them pristine, especially for those who want to visit their loved ones. So I do thank him for that and caring for it the way he does, because it certainly he doesn't have to.
He goes above board when he's taking care of the parks too.
Yeah.
He gets called out for all different things and he's right there taking care of it, so I appreciate that.
Well, I'd like to see stipends and salaries combined at some point in the future, as opposed to it being a stipend. Explore that. I know there used to be a whole separate division that the town used to have, and I think the stipend that we pay Danny, is far better than what we would get if we explore reopening that whole division again and all that. So I part of me wants to hopefully explore just adding that to his salary, and that's part of his duties. And as opposed to recreating a whole other department and calling it a stipend, he's doing the job. He does a good job at it. Make it part of his salary, and let's just call it a salary and not call it a stipend. So.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I'm kind of curious how we're going to move forward in this year. I just went, coming back from the office to Geraldo Park today. There was some sort of a tournament going on, and I counted 60 cars in there when they drove in.
It's their Frisbee tournament that they have on
Yeah.
New Year's Day
Year's Day.
every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really think it would be beneficial to the town if we could monetize the park, and I know that would include, since we have the bathrooms there, that would include probably another staff or director. I'm not really sure how we would do that, but I think that park is a valuable asset to the town, and we should start exploring.
You do have to keep in mind though, to also, in order to use the park, they're supposed to fill out a facility use maintenance and provide me with their certificate of insurance, which typically most of the disc golf events do, but this one has not. So they are using the park without our permission, and we do not have their insurance on file, just so you're aware.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's good to know.
Good to know, it's right. It's good to know.
Good to know. And I know they do it every year.
I know they do like an icebreaker one in February, and usually they, because it's different entities of disc golf. And most of them do this, but when Dan had mentioned the other day that he was getting a porta potty for them, we don't have it on record, and we don't have that COI, which could be a problem.
Does this particular group come in for other events as well?
I don't know if it's the same group,
I don't know for sure.
because there are 3 or 4 different.
Okay.
It's a popular course up there. I
Yeah, it's
mean,
very popular.
It's that
Like
that
number
disc
9 in
golf
the
up there
country.
gets used. It's amazing how often it gets used, but.
We could take a look at that and maybe adding some language to the policy that if someone, to create some incentives, if they have an event without complying to the policy, then, maybe they'd be precluded in the future from holding the event there, just because you need them to be motivated to come in and comply, and having the certificate of insurance in particular
Very
is
important.
important.
Yeah, so just for moving forward with it, I think we definitely, and this kind of goes to you, Mike, you've been asking about BOCES a lot. I think we should approach them to get maybe a Parks and Rec. I think that if we had some sort of structure there where we could have, it is a golf course. So if we had greens fees or if we had stickers for the cars, resident or non-resident, when I went through today, I saw a Maine plate and a Connecticut plate, but the rest were New York. But I'm sure it's from all over the area, Capital District probably. I mean, if somebody's coming from Maine and Connecticut, I'm sure somebody's coming from Saratoga. But I talked with the man that, I spoke with Kenneth Rounds, who designed that course, who's been in disc golf since the 70s. He started in San Diego. I walked it with him this summer, and it's gorgeous back there. So I think we should maybe look into BOCES, getting a grant for us if we wanted to explore that, and then explore maybe a Parks and Rec just for Geralman. I'm not sure how we would do that, but it's been on my mind for a while that we should use that park to our advantage.
Yeah, all great discussion for our monthly meetings.
Yeah, that's a big one. All in favor?
Aye.
Danny? Aye.
Your turn. I think it's wrong.
Well, I had it over there. My bad. I, Councilmember Hoteling, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board of the town of Queens is desirous of appointing a registrar of vital statistics and a deputy registrar of vital statistics consistent with town law. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby appoint Candace McHugh as registrar of vital statistics for an annual stipend of $500 effective January 1st, 2025, with a term to expire December 31st, 2025. Be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby appoint Cheryl Slingerland as deputy registrar of vital statistics for an annual stipend of $500 effective. Should probably be effective January 1st in there. January 1st, 2025, with a term to expire on December 31st, 2025.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
So again, just for discussion, Cheryl is my aunt, so.
Abstain.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
I, Supervisor Donnelly, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas Public Officers Law, Section 11, and Town Law, Section 25 require that the supervisor, town clerk, justices, superintendent of highways, and such other officers and employees as the town board may identify, execute, and file in the offices of the town clerk, county clerk, and or the office of the court administration as appropriate, an official undertaking conditioned for the faithful performance of their duties, and whereas the town board has determined that a surety company authorized to transact business in the state of New York should execute the aforementioned undertaking, and the expense thereof shall be an authorized charge against the town. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens directs the acquisition of such undertaking pursuant to the above stipulations.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
So just for discussion, I'd just like Mr. Riley to just clarify this for me. While I believe that we've had this resolution at previous organizational meetings, I just want more detail about this so-called official undertaking.
Sure, so, and it's my understanding that this is also the same resolution that you've adopted in the past, but the background for this type of resolution is there are certain positions within the town, particularly ones that are dealing with money, that are required to be bonded under state law. And so what we're doing here is essentially going out to the surety company to be sure that you have that bond in place and agreeing that the town itself is going to pick up the cost associated with that rather than make some, any of the individual officials do it.
That's clear. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
I, Councilmember Bruno, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board desires to have the Bank of Greene County collect property taxes on behalf of the town of Queens. Now therefore be it resolved, the town supervisor, Stephen Donnelly, is authorized to sign a letter of agreement with the Bank of Greene County to authorize the collection of taxes, which is set to expire March 31st, 2025.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. I, Councilmember Schmidt, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas it is not practical for the entire five-member town board to manage the day-to-day administration and supervision of the town and its employees. Now therefore be it resolved pursuant to Town Law, Article 3, Section 29, subsection 16 of the laws of the state of New York, the town board of the town of Queens hereby authorizes and delegates to the town supervisor the powers and duties of day-to-day administration and supervision of all town and special improvement district facilities and employees consistent with and in furtherance of any and all county, state, and federal laws applicable thereto, and with any and all collective bargaining agreements, local laws, resolutions, or policies heretofore or hereafter adopted by this board.
I second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Nay.
I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town of Queens is required to establish sewer rates for 2025, and whereas a public hearing was duly advertised on the official newspaper of the town of Queens and held on December 12th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall. And whereas all parties in attendance were granted the opportunity to speak on behalf and or in opposition to the proposed 2025 sewer rate. And whereas the town board of the town of Queens determines the number of units to calculate the billing for operation, maintenance, and capital projects. And whereas the town board of the town of Queens has established a late payment of 10% to be imposed on all balances 30 days from the due date of the billing. And whereas each use is hereby charged as follows. Per unit per year, $520.52. January through June payment is $260.26. July through December payment, $260.26. Commercial, number of units in building, apartments, one per apartment, out of district users per unit per year, vacant parcel, flat rate of $100, Village of Ravena, $44,000. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens is hereby authorized the town clerk to collect sewer rents for 2025 pursuant of the above established rates.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
I, Councilmember Hoteling, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town of Queens has established Stonehouse Hill Sewer District extension and is required to establish sewer rates for 2025 on these parcels. And whereas a public hearing was duly advertised in the official newspaper of the town of Queens and held on December 12th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall. And whereas all parties in attendance were granted the opportunity to speak on behalf and or in opposition to the proposed 2025 sewer rate. And whereas the town board of the town of Queens determines the number of units to calculate the billing for operation, maintenance, and capital projects. And whereas the town board of the town of Queens has established a late payment of 10% to be imposed on all balances 30 days from the due date of billing. And whereas each use is hereby charged as follows. Per unit per year, $583.64. January, June payment, $291.82. July through December payment, $291.82. Commercial, number of units in building. Apartments, one per apartment. Out of district users per unit per year, vacant parcel, flat rate, $100. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby authorize the town clerk to collect sewer rents for 2025 pursuant to the established rates.
Second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. I, Supervisor Donnelly, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town has traditionally employed one or more court clerks in the town justice court to perform certain administrative and clerical duties on a full-time or part-time basis based on the need and available resources. And whereas Town Justice Linda T. Essing is willing to perform certain additional administrative and clerical duties incident to the performance of her judicial duties. And whereas the full-time court clerk shall continue to serve in said capacity, including the performances of all duties that require separate supervision or approval by the town justices. Now therefore be it resolved that effective January 1st, 2025, the town board of the town of Queens hereby authorized that a stipend in the amount of $1,250 per month be paid to Town Justice Linda T. Essing for the performance of her judicial duties as permitted by law and subject to applicable rules governing judicial conduct.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I, Councilmember Bruno, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board has previously approved the 2025 annual budget for the town of Queens. And whereas the budget included appropriations for personal services for contractual and non-contractual employees. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens authorizes the following employees for 2025 in accordance with labor contracts in effect and budgeted amounts for positions outside the scope of negotiated contracts. Employee rates 2025.
Yeah, no, do you want to just say that? Because we have to post these.
As depicted below.
Yes, so, okay. So, don't have to read them.
You don't have to.
Thank you, thank you. Yes,
I'll second that.
okay, thank you.
Just for discussion, it looks like the planning and zoning board members, it says 12, should that be 24? They do meet twice a month.
Once a month.
Well, this is their.
So she-
Right, so are they paid once a month?
No, they're paid twice, they're paid,
Twice a month, 26 payments.
In the column is their annual pay period, so it's,
Yeah, it should.
how long is that payroll being processed? If that's twice a month, I agree, it should be 24.
I don't know, Mr. Cronin, do you,
Paid per meeting.
you're paid per meeting, but you get two separate paychecks?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
24.
Yeah.
Okay.
so Ms. Grogan, Mr. Collins,
Right.
Mr. Boomer,
Yeah.
Mr. Cronin, Mr. Nolan, Mr. Trio, Mr. McGuire, Mr. Sinkyu, and Ms. Ziegler.
So it should be changed to 24.
Yeah.
So I'll second that as amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Candace, you got 2025 property tax bills? I can hold that here. There's a
What there?
public announcement for 2025 property tax bills.
Oh, property tax bills have gone out. They should be hitting your mailboxes any minute. Property taxes can be paid here at Town Hall, cash, check, or charge from 8:30 to 4:30. They can be left in the drop boxes after hours. It will be, dated for the next business day, if you do drop it in the box. And also the Bank of Greene County, you can pay, your property taxes there, only at the Ravena location. And there are no penalties up to actually, I believe, February 3rd.
Okay, thank you. And I have an announcement. I, Supervisor Donnelly, do hereby appoint Mike Stott as Deputy Supervisor for 2025, and the decision was made to forego the stipend typically associated with the position. And that brings us to public comment time.
One thing
You made a motion.
No, announce.
Okay.
so he's allowed, as a supervisor, he's
Yeah.
allowed to. So I just have something to bring up for the board to consider. So pursuant to New York State Town Law, Section 29, subsection 3, one of the things that we can do as a board, so I'll just read this section first and then we can talk about it. So this is powers and duties of the supervisor, except where powers or duties specified herein are devolved upon the town comptroller pursuant to Section 34 of this chapter, the supervisor of each town, and remember that we don't have a town comptroller. Subsection 3 says, shall disperse such money only by checks payable to the person or persons entitled thereto, which checks shall, if the town board requires such countersignature, be countersigned by the town clerk or by the comptroller in towns where the office of town comptroller has been established. When authorized by resolution of the town board, such checks may be signed with the facsimile signature of the supervisor or other town officer whose signature is required, as reproduced by a machine or device commonly known as a check signer. By resolution duly adopted, the town board may determine to enter into a contract to provide the deposit of the periodic payroll of the town in a bank or trust company for dispersal by, in accordance with provisions of Section 96B of the banking law. So the reason I bring this up is there is something out there that we as a town board could establish a resolution to have any checks that leave the town of Queens countersigned by the supervisor and the town clerk. And, you know, there would be some initial expense that goes on with that. We would have to order new checks. There's a cost affiliated with that. You know, it would be another duty that Candace would have to endure. She would have to review the checks and who they're made payable to, but I do think that it's a reasonable request, and I think it would help me feel better about the checks and balances with, you know, money going in and out.
But there's an expense.
There is an expense.
And
Isn't the money already checked and balanced by several people?
I mean,
There may not be an expense because you're actually not supposed to pay for checks. The bank is financially should be paying for your checks.
Okay.
but does it add to your workload?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
what I would be concerned about.
Are you concerned with that workload if the board were to adopt a resolution?
I could figure it out if the board feels as though that would be necessary.
Again, I'm just bringing it to the board's attention. I'm not, you know,
You're not incriminating anybody, but you're still saying that you want better checks and balances.
yes.
So before we sign the vouchers, who has already looked at them and signed them? It's Regina, right? The town
Candace,
clerk, correct?
Yeah.
Who else?
Stephen,
Goes through me,
Through you,
then you guys,
and then so we're like the
and then Nita.
right. So there's
and Sarah. Sarah
And
also
Sarah, right.
signs.
Again,
there's four people checking and balancing.
and there are still errors. There are still calls being made that bills are not being paid on time. I don't know that this resolution or this idea would fix that. But again, it's another way to just have another set of eyes, another procedure put in place that would hopefully try to alleviate all of the issues that have happened over, you know.
Well,
And again, I'm not just saying this administration or this board, I'm just saying this is something that I think that it's important for this board to think about going forward. You know, I'm not pointing blame at anybody. I'm just saying, do we want to entertain this thought? And again, if the board is, you know, if you as a board don't even want to think about it, then that's fine. You know, but I did want to raise it to the board that we do have this option.
Yeah, I mean, we'll entertain anything. You know, it's something we can think about and discuss, see how we feel about it, digest it a little bit.
Was there a complaint about bills not being paid?
Complaint about it? Well, we get late payments done actually quite often, which should be fought against. We shouldn't be paying them.
I have had employees come to me personally and say, I'm getting calls and I'm being told that collection agencies are going to be calling next, and it's just crazy.
well, how come we didn't know about that?
Do you when you get those calls, do you bring it up to Regina or the supervisor or Sarah?
Well, Sarah really doesn't have anything to do with the bills being paid.
Or you know, somebody who pays the bills?
I'll go back and look. I don't know that I believe there was at least one email that I did send to the board that, you know, bills are being paid late. And I have expressed verbally, when I was told that Regina was going to be going to 3 days a week instead of 5 days a week, that, there is a concern that, we are getting notified that bills are being paid late, but yet our, bookkeeper is now going part-time. So again,
Could we hold this for discussion?
oh, absolutely. That's all this was for. This,
Okay.
I just wanted to bring this statute to the board
And
and,
it's available?
yeah.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Would it be improper to ask whose bills are not being paid on time? I haven't heard no one's contacted our office and said they're not being paid.
The
One
court.
contacted your office.
Yeah, I believe the
Yes.
court has contacted your office several times.
The court's not being paid?
Certain bills that go out for them are not being paid in a timely fashion, which is sending them collections notices, which isn't a good look. And it's usually a monthly bill that should be paid monthly, and they'll typically come when they get a notice. They'll come to us and check, when did we get the bill? Because when a bill comes into the office, we open it, we log that the bill was received, and we sent it to that department. And then when the bill comes back to us, we log that the bill was returned to us. And at that point, it goes to Regina. So we can tell you if a bill has been signed by a department as long as the bill came through us. So the court can check and say that, yes, they handed in their bill, it was given to them, given back to us, and then sent to the business office. From there on, I can't tell you what happens with that bill. But if they're getting a notice that it's not paid, then they have to check with Regina. Is check missing? Did it get lost in the mail? Why wasn't it paid? And again, that's not my department.
But it just happened, correct?
It's happened a few times.
Yeah.
But just recently?
For the same vendor? I mean,
There's been a couple vendors, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but that's a common one that it happens with. And the court is a little meticulous with their vouchers.
They are very meticulous.
About when they go in, so.
Which isn't a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing at all, but
it could also not allow for a little leeway in how they do things.
Mhm.
I mean, there seems to be like, here it is, they want it done now. And it doesn't always happen that way.
But if there's a due date on the bill, it should be paid by that date.
Right, I understand that.
Could you send those to me tomorrow?
Send what to you?
What vendors weren't being paid? Like what
I
dates?
would contact the court about
Okay.
that and talk to Regina. I won't have those dates as to when they're being paid. That would be business office and the department that had the vouchers.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, we can't have that happening, but I wonder too, is it something that if we talk with Regina and talk between the court and Regina and the business office, can we, figure out best practice? Like something that we can do to better ourselves and get things out in a timely manner? I mean, maybe it's just a simple thing as like scheduling, the checks go out on a certain date and you have to do something different with your timeline, Regina, maybe, but, she's, I'm sure, willing to work with anybody and everybody to fix this.
Yeah, we can add this to the prepaid conversation. Okay.
And can we get some, I know we just talked about timely manner, and I know we just gave you day-to-day operational stuff again, and I was 50-50 on that, and we spent a lot of last year not knowing what was going on the first part of the year. I mean, we're getting more emails now than we ever have. Can we get some better idea, like when you're having a meeting with somebody and
Yeah,
that
it's
meeting?
actually on the list.
And I also feel that if any board member has a meeting with anybody external of here, if I have a meeting with the chief, or if somebody has a meeting with somebody else, we should be reporting back to our colleagues of, what that meeting was about and the nature of that meeting. Because to be honest with you, I was pretty sick and tired of finding, stuff out 5 minutes before the meetings last year. And, that's, we shouldn't have to wait till 5 minutes before a meeting to find out stuff. We got to be a little bit more open with each other and
with the public. I mean, these
public. We have a lot of stuff on the table for next year, and I feel that we got to look better. We really have to look better than we have been recently.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because it was one of the things I went into the office today. I forgot that it was a holiday and started writing things down, like had the morning meetings with my staff in the supervisor's office. And the second thing on the list was communication emails through board members. And I wrote one recently. This was December 10th, and it was referring to a March email that I wrote about the vision of the town from the board members and how we want to go. I think I wrote this on March 21st, sort of a wish list, like what we wanted to do. And you actually responded to it, Ron. It was great. I liked all of your input to it about, we need local healthcare, town hall, senior housing, community growth, mental health and wellness for the community. And we actually knocked a lot of things off this list. I thought, and I actually, when we had conversations, if we did one of these, that would be great.
Yeah.
We ended up knocking off a bunch, and then I wrote another one recently
And I don't
with
knock it.
all that we have coming up,
Mhm.
like you're talking about, all the stuff
Yeah.
that we have coming up. I wrote back that since this email, since January 24th, the supervisor's office has been using the 2006 Town Queens Comprehensive Plan as its guide for moving forward. This is the vision that I picked up. I think your dad was on the board when that comprehensive plan came out.
There's been one done since then.
Well, yeah, there was an amended one in 2021. But that's what I've been using as a guide. And I said personally, I like to see healthcare, childcare, senior housing, and small business stimulus. And finished up with, let me know what your visions are, what your broad strokes are, if even if it's just general. No one responded to that, and I think we really need to. And it was one of the first questions I asked last December before we were sworn in. What was the vision? Because you can't move forward without a vision. And you said we really weren't aware of a vision.
Well, what do you mean? The vision prior to you coming on board?
Yeah, it was one of the first questions when we were meeting at the library. So just
Well, no, the vision has been before you took office as supervisor was economic growth, and trying to figure out what we can do to increase economic growth in the town of Queens.
Yeah.
And that's what I told you back in those meetings, December of 2023. And
actually, you said there wasn't one, and you said I didn't have one. And then you said, "What is yours?" And I started going on about town
I don't
hall.
know. I don't know if they said that. I think they said urban acts.
Well, that's why I invited you to my office way back in February. You came, and then when you started laying out everything that you did with choices, I said, "You absolutely have a vision. You just didn't articulate it at that meeting, and you didn't take my invitation and come." So that was
I just want to go forward into 20. We've done a lot of things.
right.
We-
So
we-
communication is what we're
So
talking
we presented a budget with a 0% tax increase. We've checked some boxes. We're moving forward with a town hall and all that. But this board has to be working for the 7,000 plus residents of this town
Absolutely.
collectively, and not 70 in a certain area at all times. And I believe sometimes the focus of this board focuses on a small portion and not collectively down. When I got voted in, I have to work equally as hard for the people who did not vote for me or didn't drag their butts out of the chair to come out and vote for me, as much, if not harder, than the people who came out and voted for me. Because when we won, it wasn't a huge mandate, for anything for us to win. It was a change. And my job is to all the people in this town and make my decisions based upon collectively the whole town. That's my job.
Do you feel?
And I
being
sometimes
left out?
feel that we focus on certain things and we put our self-interest sometimes in the forefront. So I want this board, we are a board that works for the townspeople. We are their fiscal managers of their tax dollars, and to hopefully grow this town both as a residential community, as a business community, and let those to somehow work with each other. We're not always gonna make it perfect, but we have to do it the best way possible, for the town as a whole. And I think sometimes when we got voted in, and I'm speaking for the three people to the right of this table as we're sitting here, people felt that that business was going to go away and there was gonna be a water park along our riverfront. We are a business community as well as a residential community. And I think that we have to work with that vision, that we're working for everybody in this town, and we gotta speak for everybody in this town.
Yeah, that was on the list for, and way back in March, was growing the industry and the community together.
Yeah.
With community out front is, I think, how I worded it in here. I'm not sure, the minority that you're talking about that you think is being focused on, and if there are any specific examples, I would love to go through them with you. Do you feel like we're focusing on a small group?
We'll have our discussions, when we have our workshops and we have our executive sessions, but I just feel that when you say vision, the vision of this board has to be collectively representing the entire community, not just
It was one of
Main
the
Street or,
Yeah.
it's gotta be the entire community for the people who don't have like internet service way out and back, who are the forgotten people sometimes when we were out there knocking on doors, to the people who are along the waterfront, to our village neighbors here that we're working so much better with. We are a community that has so many different areas. We represent all of them. And I think sometimes we focus too much on one or two things.
Well, that goes back to the community liaisons that I want to do in January that I thought we needed to focus on. That actually happened organically. People come, there are actual spokespeople from the Hamlet, the Alcove, the Hollow, that come and speak to me on a regular basis. These are our problems. This is what we're looking at. And it's actually one of the goals that I got from March that we actually accomplished. Build community with village, RCS, and small business. Community growth, you can see it right here.
We are doing much better when it comes to communication and working with our neighbors with respect to our village neighbors. I have said to several people that if you were a new resident coming in here and watching a meeting, you actually see a board that communicates. You don't look at it as a political thing. You see people who are residents of this community who are trying to do what's in the best interest of the community. And I think we've done leaps and bounds when it comes to that, and putting our best face forward to the people that we're supposed to be representing. But I think sometimes we lose sight of that. And I think that we have to all work together, knowing that we're working for everybody, not just a certain part.
And we can't forget about our industrial base.
Right.
I mean,
It's important.
Yeah, we are. We actually, in that meeting that we had when it started to get contentious with the 15 people from ESD, and I think somebody had said, well, what's the game here? Why aren't you just accepting this? And I think I said that the game, if you want to frame it as that, is prudence. We're walking forward slowly because we've been completely uninformed at certain points. There's been a lot of growth here since 2012 that the boards have not been aware of since before we were voted. And I think that's part of the reason we were voted in, is to have way more transparency, more communication. I think we're doing a phenomenal job, to tell you the truth.
And getting a seat at the table at those places is it's a huge step. I'm with you. It's a huge step, but I think 2025 is a new year. We got things to work on. I encourage the workshops. I'm looking forward to those being established. And I'm looking forward that the day-to-day operations that you have are funneled out a little bit more frequently to the board members. That's my wish list for 2025.
Yeah, and honestly, that was the article that I wrote for at the News Herald. Was walking in here, I was running it like a business. I did, because when you run a business, and I've had 3 businesses in my life that were successful, you really just push ahead. I'm one of those people that work defines me. I'm a compulsive worker. So that's a good thing, I think. But yeah, the communication to the board, we can absolutely do if we all start responding through emails. I think a little bit more as they go out, because I would love to hear,
And emails are great. Not necessarily the best thing. We all have jobs. Some of us have jobs. Some of us that can't just respond to an email right away. So
not right away. I mean, this was December 10th.
Get a phone call.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually started doing a lot of phone calls too, because it is good to have a conversation, more human. But I think we're point well taken about
And I think we got to get Linda up out of that seat. So we should probably get going.
I'm sorry, I was losing track of time. It is time for public comment. Thanks.
My name is William Stewart. Happy New Year, everybody. I just want to ask some questions. I know we purchased the building. Have we gotten any other numbers to do the construction of the inside of the facility,
Yes.
separate from the court?
Yep, I spoke with, we didn't get numbers. I spoke with MJ yesterday about sending me the plans that I had sent 2 weeks ago. Called them up, said, it's been 2 weeks, what do you guys got? She said, well, it's been the holidays. We do have a plan in place, but we don't have any numbers. We'll get that, because I said we were going to have a meeting and somebody's going to ask this question. And she said, I'll get that to you as soon as I can. So they have sent me, emailed us plans that I gave to the board for the bare minimum, the minimum work. And it's looking great. We're pretty excited about it. So the only thing that I'm a little worried about, so we had a proposal for professional services for $18,000, and I'm afraid that the estimate that we're going to get is going to be for professional services and the work, because it looks like but I'm not sure. I have to wait for the numbers, so I'll get back to you as soon as we get them.
We don't really have an idea of if it's going to be as close to the number that we had before. It was quite high, right?
Well, we're dealing with engineering costs right now. We don't even know the construction costs yet, but it's the bare minimum of work is what we're asking for.
Are we going to need? Let me ask you another question. Do you think we're going to need a bond just for that?
No.
So that'll come out of the budget. What the funds that we have on?
Yeah.
Okay. And then of course,
Because we have $700,000 in the budget for the outfit of town hall.
We have a capital reserve fund.
you don't think it's going to cost that much, do you?
No.
And then of course with the court, the new court you're going to put in there, you have to get an estimate for that again,
Yeah.
and that's going to be quite a bit again.
Well, we're not going to go with an extravagant what was proposed to us. We want a 70 by 30 building. Mike and I just measured this. This is 19 by the front of this to there is 53. So this is 19 by 51, was it?
Yeah, 51, 52.
So we want a rectangle. We don't want a huge $4 million court in town hall. We want to get into the building as cheaply as possible.
Okay. And about business in this town is exceptional. People don't realize it. I mean, I know a lot of people don't come to the meetings, but for this community, for this size, I've said it 1,000 times probably. We have an exceptional little town here with a lot of industry, a great business base, tax base, which is a lot of people would be jealous over us.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, if we can just keep going forward on that. I mean, not to the point, we have an industrial park, we have that area down there, and small industry is good too. I mean, in a proper way, and I think if we just keep pushing forward on that, that would be, a really good thing to just tell people, and industry that, hey, listen, this area is a great place to do business. We have transportation routes. We have the river, the rail, and the thruway. Most places don't have that. I mean, you got that kind of transportation in this area, you can go from New York to Canada. You can go to the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, that's phenomenal.
I have to agree with you because that's why I think that Queens can honestly be a tourist town because we're so close to everything. And I didn't even mention this because once again, just as a workaholic, we finished the website where you should look at it and because it mentions industry, it mentions offshore wind. Those are the words that I wrote. I wrote the text for that website. My wife took the pictures. We didn't pay ourselves. We just did it because we live in this town and we want this town to prosper. We hear a lot of if we build the industry, there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of jobs. And that means money for your restaurants and for your hotels we don't have hotels. Mm-hmm. We have one restaurant and you tell me if you go get a grilled cheese at Silver Spoon and you have to wait in line for 4 hours, you're not going to be happy. So that's why I'm focusing on small business. I'm not not focusing
You
on.
got an
industry.
exceptional bakery.
I'm laser focused on industry.
Macy's is an exceptional bakery.
Yeah. So, just to further your point,
Yeah.
I'm looking at every single asset in the town, every single asset.
And I did take a look at that property up there on Mud Road.
Yeah.
That's an exceptional piece of property up there.
It's nice.
I mean, if we got together and looked at these properties that we could sell, that property would sell.
Yeah.
That property would sell.
Well, we're still looking for the deed. I asked the assessor to find me the deed a couple of weeks ago, and there's an issue with it. So, they're having trouble. Things take time.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking at every single asset in the town and what we can do with it and how we can bring money and revenue streams in.
Because you definitely have,
That's the thought.
a town to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
just say
William.
stay tuned for our monthly workshops too. Hopefully we'll have a lot of discussion on our buildings.
Okay.
That's the purpose of trying to get those monthly workshops established.
Okay.
It's a little bit more formal way to have.
Now that's at the village.
No,
No,
this
that's
is gonna be
just
our
us.
town workshop that we're gonna, do our business, but, not in this type of format, But it's also
Yeah.
we're public.
Want to talk about the future
Yeah.
expansion of the
It's,
town.
it's probably 99% of the time it will not be live, but it's a
Right.
public meeting but we're gonna talk about doing our day-to-day stuff and I think the big focus is going to be to be on that building, so we'll be talking a lot about that. So you're welcome to those meetings all the time.
There's no further discussion? Make a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.